Good morning, Ron and Elaine. I have a response to you. You asked what podcast Sean and Carter listen to. I'm sure Carter will give his response on the podcast. I can't answer for him. Something about the rise of Rome or something. I listen to two podcasts, and I can't even keep up with those two. When I got into podcasts, I listened to a ton of This American Life. I probably listened to the first, I found a collection online of the beginning through whatever, and I listened to probably the first 150 or so. That's a lot of hours of podcasts. This American Life is a show that is basically biographies of everyday people in America. And that might sound boring, but it never is. They are so good at making even the most benign stories incredibly interesting. One of the early, really good episodes was 24 Hours at the, I don't want to say Golden Apple. I'm not positive, but there's a 24-hour diner in Chicago. Actually, Ron, you might know. There's a 24-hour diner in Chicago, which is where This American Life is broadcast out of. And what they did is they had six reporters, 4 reporters or something, and they manned this diner for 24 hours. And they just captured people's stories, and they interviewed people who came in and out. And they just got like this little sliver of life for the average whatever in Chicago. And it was incredibly revealing and interesting because basically what you find when you watch This American Life is everyone is the same everywhere. Things are different, but everyone is the same. Unfortunately, I have not listened to that much This American Life recently. I just haven't had time for it, and my other podcasts have taken precedent. If you're interested in checking out This American Life without really embedding yourself in the podcast, find yourself the show that they did on Showtime. It was, I believe, 12 half-hour episodes, and they're phenomenal. I don't know why they don't make more. I really wish they would, because they were so well done. Every episode will probably make you cry at some point. They're beautifully produced. They're so well shot. Anyway, they won awards for them. They're really good. The 2 podcasts I do listen to are Smodcast, which is Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier. Kevin Smith is an introvert who stays at home and talks about Nazis and sharks and poop. And Scott Mosier is a world-traveled producer whose current productions include the new Adventures of Spider-Man or something that's about to get started on Disney if it hasn't already started. I'm about 2 months behind on their podcast, so if they've talked about it, I've missed it. They're a very interesting combination. It's kind of strange that they're friends. It doesn't make much sense. But they've been friends for 20 years, and the conversations that they have are really interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to do Harry Potter on Sean and Carter Have a Podcast is because one of my favorite things on Smodcast was Kevin has never read the Harry Potter books. All he's done is see the movies. Scott has read the books and seen the movies. He explains the plot of Harry Potter to Kevin. Kevin asks him all kinds of ridiculous questions. Many don't make sense at all. Many are about the characters in the book having sex with each other, because that's just what he does. And it's just freaking hilarious. It's really good. And I wanted to mention a 4th podcast in case you're interested in checking it out. I am very interested, I've always been, in looking at this, but I haven't, the WTF podcast with Mark Maron. Mark Maron is a comic writer, he's a stand-up comedian, and he's found a lot more success doing this podcast, interviewing other comedians, than he has actually being a comedian. He interviews them about all kinds of things, like good, big things that happen in their careers, and then also, maybe painful personal things. Most comedians seem to have a darker side or a depressive side to them, and he often gets behind it and talks to them about that. You talked about superheroes for a while. I can't believe, Elaine, I can't believe that tired of superhero movies is an excuse for not seeing the Avengers. The highest, I don't know why I'm going to try and talk you into seeing it if you're not interested. There's a reason it has so much critical acclaim and so much financial success. It's that good. Please just go see it. please just go see it. You will like it. Don't see it in 3D. Just go see it. You talked about 3D movies. I am still, as of yet, to see... I feel very low in the frame. I'm going to move up. There we go. Now I'm sitting on my foot. It'll be numb by the end. I have yet to see a 3D movie in theaters. Asterix. I saw Coraline in 3D, but I'm going to say this, and I'm going to mention what you saw, Elaine. You saw How to Train Your Dragon. I saw Coraline. Those movies are animation, and I feel like animated 3D is in a different class from live action. I think it's just easier for our brains to process when something is animated in 3D, and it just feels, I don't know, it feels more okay. And in the case of How to Train Your Dragon, it can, I mean, when they make that 3D conversion, it's not even a conversion. It can look at the actual 3D models that it's created in the computer, and that's the way it processes it. When you do a 3D conversion in live action, that's not the way it works. It is a process that it actually goes through. And so, as of yet, I've seen no live action 3D. For a while, last October, the October of 2010 was the first Halloween that I was doing videos. And I said as part of a challenge, I was going to go see Saw 7 because that came out in 3D, and I never did. No one seemed to care either way, so it didn't really matter. But I never saw that in 3D, and then I've thought about going to see... I made a big deal of something else coming out in 3D, but I don't remember what it was. And Star Wars is coming out in 3D, but I don't care. Okay, the rest of this is going to be about Korra. If you're not caught up on The Legend of Korra, I'm going to talk about a few things, and you might not want to listen. So if you're going to leave now, bye. Okay, you're still here. Legend of Korra. I was exactly like you, Elaine. Actually, Alicia and I did this. We were watching together. When that flashback happened, we like launched for the controller and we're like, pause it, what's going on? And we stepped through and looked at all the people that we could see. That was really interesting. Elaine, I think you are exactly right that Tenzin trained, what's-his-face? Iman? Is that his name? Iman? I think you're exactly right. I got that exact impression. I think... Okay, hold on. I need to lubricate. I've been drawing a lot of parallels between this plotline, this story, and Star Wars things because they're really easy. They're very parallel. And this is yet another one. This is Obi-Wan failing to complete Anakin's training. Something happened with Iman, and he got out of control, and Tenzin took his power away. That is my theory. Ron and Yu and Annie Stuffs, I think is his name. Let me find him. Where is he? All of you seem to have the name of something wrong. You keep referring to something called mind bending. Ignore me while I find this comment. Yeah, Annie Stuffs. Okay. Soul bending, mind bending, and that's what Ron and you called it. And then Annie called it spirit bending. You are all wrong. All of you are wrong. It is called energy bending. I will link it in the info. There are 5 kinds of bending. Fire, water, earth, air, and energy. Energy is the 5th kind of bending. Energy, I'm so freaking nerdy. Energy predates all of the bending styles. It predates the 4 nations. And it wasn't until people became dissatisfied with energy bending, which was internal action within yourself, that they reached out and tried to find other forms of bending and therefore found the 4 types. There are 2, so nerdy, there are 2 people that we have seen do this. The lion turtle, yes, the lion turtle, and the lion turtle who teaches Aang. Those are the only two people that we know of. And the only thing that we really know that it does is take away other people's bending. That doesn't mean it doesn't do other things. Annie Stuff's had a lot of things to say about what is possible and is not possible in the Airbender universe, and I think I think you should not do that, because we've already seen through the process of the first series, the first 3 seasons, the universe change. I think that this is a universe that is constantly changing. During the first series, we learned about blood bending and metal bending, and those things weren't like well known in the mainstream. If metal bending even exists, actually I should probably look for it right now before I start talking out my butt. Metal bending, I want to say that it was invented by Toph. Yes, okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It was first developed by Toph. So, I think that this is a show that is perfectly willing to tell us that the characters don't know everything about the universe, and that means the writers don't know everything about the universe. So they can change stuff. They can learn new stuff. They can change the physics of the world, including things like learning metal bending. So to say that Iman cannot restore someone's power is a really bad assumption. To say that it's not possible is an even worse assumption. I think it is definitely going to be possible to restore someone's power. I don't know if it's going to be possible to give bending to someone who doesn't have it, but I think restoring power will definitely happen, because I think a major character, I don't know, I'm not going to pick one, I'm just speculating that this is what I would do. A major character should lose their power. A major character should be like kidnapped by Iman, have their power taken away. Not the Avatar, obviously. Have their power taken away, and then we will think for a while that they're going to go without it, but eventually they'll get it back. Alright, so anyway, I hope I've cleared all that up about bending. I thought it was really important that you don't make the assumption that we know everything that can happen. If you had said in the first season of Avatar that no, metal bending is not possible, you'd be right. Then you'd be immediately proven wrong in the next season. Just gonna say. So I'm freaking loving Legend of Korra. You two seem way more disappointed with it than I have. I really enjoy it. I think that the Newsy reel at the beginning is freaking hilarious. It actually makes me laugh every time. And we were telling our one friend about it right before we watched it, and we were just trying to, he hadn't seen an episode yet, and we were just jumping in on the 5th, and we were trying to explain like where it was. We're like, it's kind of like Manhattan, but not, and they have like cars, but it's all bending. And then as soon as we started it and it did that Newsies reel, I was like, why am I even bothering to explain it? The tone of this reel is the perfect setup for what you're about to watch. It just feels, I feel like that tone is exactly right. I'm sorry if you don't like it so much. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here before I talk any longer. See ya! Click!